Hi guys, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the morning after. I am your host, Charlene Joint, and today we are recapping episode 7. I think it's 7. It could be 6 if you're considering last week being 5B. It's either 6 or 7 of season 15 of The Bachelorette. And as you guys know, we start off the morning after with a buzziest moment. And this, of course, is brought to you by Starbucks Coffee at Home, which you can pick up at your local grocery store. And this is a moment that I just want to talk about. And so the moment that shall be today is Hannah confronting Luke and expressing that what he'd said to her did not sit well with her. I mean, there are several ways to unpack this. The two things that stood out to me the most that I loved is one, that she took the time to marinate with it. She didn't, it's obvious she needed time to collect her thoughts. And it's such a sensitive topic, and it's very important to verbalize carefully what bothers you about what Luke did. And so I really like that she took the time necessary to come to terms with her thoughts so that, and this is my next point, she was as specific as she was. I really think this is so serious to be specific with the language that bothered you, because it's clear, for Luke to have said these things in the first place, he's not really getting it. He's probably not going to get it, but the closest he'll come to getting it is when someone like Hannah is as specific as she was. She said, when you said this in relation to this, in the context of this, this is so important, and this is how these conversations move forward instead of just going around in circles, again, when they're not with someone like Luke. I just thought this was so fantastic how she approached this subject matter, and the way in which she did it, she was not overly aggressive. She didn't put him on the defensive, even though he always goes on the defensive, but she did her best not to set him up for that. Everything she did about this was as perfectly executed as you could possibly do, and that was my buzziest moment. All right. As you guys know, we go through in chronological order here at the morning after. It's a little early for me, apparently. Starting with Garrett's one-on-one. I thought it was so funny when it became clear that heights were Garrett's fear, his big phobia, because of course. It was funny when he came back and someone was like, so did you face any fears? Because that's what his date card had suggested. And he was like, yeah, I figured it'd have something to do with heights. It's so funny when people on this show reference, being on it. It's like he knew. He had written down heights as his fear. So of course it's only natural that that's what they would do on their one-on-one. I like Garrett. He's an interesting person. He's very reserved, and I can't tell whether this is his edit or if this is just actually how he is. He's super, kind of emotionless, even with his big, I'm putting my cards on the table moment. The moment where he told her, I'm falling for you big time. It felt kind of dry and I guess it's just funny that in the moment when he's putting his cards on the table, it still felt like he was holding a few cards close to his chest. That's all. And in general, I like Garrett, but I don't get the sense that Hannah's super into Garrett. I think she's attracted to him, she's attracted to a lot of the guys. I don't think that I don't see Garrett as final three or anything. Okay, group date. Okay, the wandering around Riga. This is a fun date. I really think Hannah shines in these group settings. She's really able to keep it moving and keep things fun and light. And she has a bit of that star power that I think is really necessary to have in a lead, and she definitely shows that on these big group dates. In the evening, Tyler has his one-on-one time. Tyler really, there was a lot to see of Tyler this week. He continues to be my man crush of the season. I'm sure he's many ladies' man crush of the season. What I like is that he makes his time all about her. And it doesn't feel like he's doing this just because she asked them to, because he was doing this from the beginning anyway. He talks about her face that's all business, and he said, where'd this fighter come from? Because I adore her. He consistently turns it on and makes it about her and then about them together. And it never feels like he is bringing her up in order to then talk about himself, if that makes sense. I really like Tyler, gosh. Okay, there was a man chat here where Luke whined about Hannah bungee jumping with Garrett topless, okay, or naked or whatever. And Tyler, again, takes this on in a really fantastic way. He makes it all about her decisions, living life to the fullest, experiencing the city to the fullest. Let her have those experiences living to the max. That was his quote. I cannot believe this guy is 25. That's what I wrote in all caps in my notes. He is so young, and he acts like a guy at least 10 years older. In terms of his jealousy and he just is so easygoing. He has a kind of ease that comes with age and experience and wisdom. Big fan, big fan. And you would think that Luke would process Tyler's response and maybe think twice about confronting Hannah about the naked bungee jumping, but of course not. I'm willing to admit that perhaps things were filmed a little out of order here. Maybe he confronted Hannah before he spoke to Tyler, and of course, perhaps I'm sure there was a producer in Luke's ear saying, "Well, if it really bothers you, you should really talk to Hannah about it." I'm sure that there's a little bit of everything here. Nonetheless, I really wish, obviously, Luke had not done this. Notice how in this one-on-one time, Hannah starts out in a great mood. Everything was going super well. And then, this is what bugs me, is when people, especially Luke in this situation, he's jealous. That's what it is. Yet he is using, God, your body is a temple, the accoutrements of Christianity to play superior about Hannah doing what she did, when really he's just trying to justify his jealousy, which is a very base emotion. So it's the contradiction there of his playing all high and mighty versus really what he's feeling is really the simplest and basest emotion you can possibly feel. It is very aggravating, very aggravating. Okay, let's move on to Peter's one-on-one. I really like that Peter addressed the fact that Hannah lumped all the guys together last week. He said, quote, "It sucked when you grouped me in with everyone else, the whole group, if you not knowing if you could see yourself getting there." I really like that he did this because I think it was necessary. She unnecessarily lumped all the guys together last week and punished them all as a whole, when really he's right. Not everyone was involved in all the drama, so I really like that he said that. The chemistry here, is through the roof. Holy crap. These two have good chemistry. I'm starting to feel more and more like maybe the chemistry is their main thing. And of course, I'm thrown off by last week in her talk with Chris Harrison in the mansion. The way she talked about Peter was kind of like he was a bit of an afterthought. She was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't really know where Peter fell in the group." And when I think about it, Peter is having a rather late one-on-one. I'm starting to feel like Peter is not as much of a front runner as I thought. I think that she's surprised by the chemistry they have and is exploring it, and I think she really likes him. She finds him really sweet. But I'm not getting that electricity that I get between her and Jed and her and Tyler. And I thought this is the opposite of what I thought I'd be saying after a one-on-one with these two. Okay, so after Peter's one-on-one, Jed visits Hannah. Hannah is really getting some good action. I am all about it. She is doing what many bachelors in her position do, and that is making out hard with lots of people, and power to her. You get it, girl. I love it. Jed whispering here in the bed to Hannah that he's really falling in love with her. I wrote, "Man, this is hard" in my notes, because you can see that there are 3 legit front runners here. I said Peter's a little, but the 3 of them really are strong front runners, and you really get the sense that they're falling really hard for her, and it's really nice, as sick as this sounds. It's gonna sound really sick to see, this many contestants truly falling head over heels for someone. It just makes it more interesting. It's why we watch the show. It's not to watch it really between 2 of them and then you watch everyone just sort of leave over time. It's a lot more interesting to feel that level of investment from them. It just makes us more invested. And finally, Hannah confronts Luke. This is what I talked about in my Buzz Days moment. He dances around what she says and just goes back to, the generic isms that we've heard him say many times. "I have full trust in you because you will make the right decisions," which, by the way, is subtly manipulative, and I can't. "I am laying my heart on the table. I am never going to control you. I will never tell you what you can and cannot do with your body, but..." And I wrote, this should never be followed by a but. Luke. I mean, obviously I talked about this in my Flare recap. How could I not? So be sure to read my Flare recap. And my Pretty Pandas recap will come out later this week. The Luke show continues, you guys. It continues. And it continues to be fascinating. I can't stand him, but I also can't stop watching him. So there you go. That's it for the morning after. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys here next week. Bye.